All right. Well, good morning. It is the All About Nothing podcast uh, daily show, sort of, kind of daily show. That's what it's called. It's called the Kind of Daily Show. Hope everyone is doing well. It is Tuesday, October the 22nd. And that means we got new states that are voting today. So we're gonna jump into those here in just a minute. Before we do that, do just and I'm honestly I was hoping, and I might try and pull it up while we're recording, but was hoping that I was going to have some of the numbers from the South Carolina early voting day one yesterday, just to see what the turnout was like. But when I checked a little bit ago, they didn't have that updated. So hopefully we'll be able to get that maybe here in a few minutes. But I guess let me start out. First of all, we'll go through the states that are early voting, so that we can show those. So here we go. It is Tuesday, October the 22nd. So these are the states. We are welcoming in a couple new ones, maybe, well, three new ones, really. Four new ones. Hey, four new ones. It's crazy. All right, here are the states. So Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, District of Columbia. I think that was new yesterday. Georgia, Guam, Hawaii is their polling open, or their early voting starts today. Idaho, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Mississippi. Missouri has had early voting if you have an excuse, but as of today, no excuse early voting is now available. So do that. I've got friends and coworkers in Missouri, so I will definitely be encouraging them to go and vote early, just because such an easy thing to do. Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, the Virgin Islands, Washington, Wisconsin. Your early voting opens today, and Wyoming. So 41 now, 41. Well, 40 really, because 41 states and territories, because Missouri is counted twice because they have excuse and no excuse early voting now. And it's weird the way the times overlap for Missouri, because the no excuse and the excuse, they overlap. Um, you would think that at this point you wouldn't need an excuse anymore. It would just be early voting, but for some reason they've got it split up like that. I do want to see if the South Carolina voting website has uh, opened up with information about who or maybe how many potentially voted yesterday. So let me see. Let me share with you what I'm looking at here. I'll pull this up. Won't take a second. Just give me a second. Um, Episode dropped yesterday. Matt Villardo, of course, candidate for South Carolina District 26 up in Fort Mill. Um, Looks like a lot of people did turn out to vote up there on the first day. So let's see. I'm just election results. Maybe, I'm not sure. Uh, I'd pause this recording while I found it, but you know, not not that not that advanced. I know it's in here, and election and statistics, and general election calendars, election audits, upcoming special voter registration, participation, and statistics. Maybe that's it. Here we go. Early voting. Nope, still not available. It says the first report will be available today. It's not been published yet, so we're still waiting on that. So early voting yesterday, it went well. It early voting's if you can, early voting is always the way to go. And there's so yesterday I went to the Lexington annex, Lexington County annex office over. It's like 605 West Main Street here in Lexington, South Carolina, and um, you could not pull into the parking lot. There were so many cars in the parking lot. There may have been a couple spaces from people that had left, but the traffic coming in was so slow. A lot of people were in line to curbside vote for disabilities and things like that. But the staff over there, Claritza, Lenice, and I got to see Miss Constance, who is she's on the board, the election board, um, all doing a fantastic job of cat herding. But the line to actually vote, I think, once I got in line, it was roughly about an hour to go from start to walking out. Um, it wasn't bad. Uh, I spoke with some interesting individuals that were in line with me. Uh, one gentleman who's a canine officer, or an officer with a canine for the city of Columbia. Got to speak with a woman who was wearing a very bright Tennessee volunteer shirt, showing her pride over the fact that Tennessee beat Alabama this past weekend. Um, and it was a good experience all around. Getting in there and actually voting was simple, as it always is. Um, you walk up to the polling manager who is going to take your driver's license, and they will scan it in. They'll verify your address. They'll have you verify your address. They look at the picture, they make sure it's you, and then you sign a document saying that you sign a waiver, essentially, that says that you are who you say you are, and you are voting, and this is the only time that you will vote. This is voter integrity, and it's worked out this way for a long time. Um, the that is the point at which some in parties will say that's the point at which it breaks down, is because the polling managers will allow someone to vote on someone else's name or whatever, and it just doesn't happen. That's not part of our training. It's it's ludicrous to think that because of how much time you could wind up serving for committing a crime involving voting, because it's a felony. It's an immediate felony. It's ludicrous to think that someone would willingly do that. Do mistakes get made? Yeah, sometimes you might have an individual come in who is, Tom Jones Sr., and he comes in, and when they scan his name, they don't see it, but they do see Tom, or they don't, for some reason, it doesn't scan properly. So they put Tom Jones, but he's got a son, Tom Jones Jr., and they select Tom Jones Jr.'s name, but nobody catches it. Yeah, it's entirely possible that something like that could happen, um, and has, I'm sure. But that is one vote out of 1,800 in a precinct, so it's less than 1%. And this idea that there are poll workers or ballot counters that are hoarding votes doesn't happen, because you walk up to the machine, you slide your ballot in, and it prints your vote. You can verify your vote is the votes, the selections you made are on your ballot, and you can look at it and validate that that is it, that's what it is. So this idea that that people are voting, uh, or that ballots are being hoarded so that they can be counted towards somebody else, so they can either be counted towards Harris or Trump. It's utterly ridiculous. If the number of votes that came in for a precinct were more than the number of registered voters in the precinct, then yeah, somebody tried to pull off a scam. But it can't happen. It just it would be seen too quickly. And what value does it have in the grand scheme of things. You're talking about it just doesn't make sense, you know. Um, I also wanted to kind of discuss interactions with people because one of the things that as we get closer and closer to this election, uh, finding several people that I am around have become much more. Uh, I'm trying to think of the word, but because I don't want to say angry, because it's not really angry. It's sort of a subdued angry. But they have become much more aggressive, I guess, about their opinion when it comes to uh, Donald Trump. And one particular interaction, and I won't say with who, but or whom, but basically, it is it's difficult to have a conversation with someone about politics when one they are so opposed to researching any of the actual issues. Someone can tell me that they really like Donald Trump's policies, and I say, well, which policies? And he says, well, the taxes. He doesn't want to tax uh, workers tips. And I said, well, Donald Trump has stated that he doesn't like the idea of tips. So not taxing tips for Donald Trump is basically maybe not giving tips. They said that he doesn't want to tax overtime. Well, in that same speech where he sort of acknowledged that idea, he also acknowledged that he hated paying workers overtime, that if he knew workers were getting close to overtime, that he would go in and tell them to go home and bring in new workers so that he wouldn't have to pay overtime. So see, that's his way of not paying overtime, is by, or not having to pay, not someone not having to pay tax on overtime. Just don't offer overtime. Don't allow them to get overtime. These are the kind of things that when you break down what it is that Donald Trump is saying that he wants to do, don't work, because or don't work for most people, because there are people that count on overtime. Yeah, they pay more. I paid more in taxes on overtime, but it's just it, you're having to you're having to have conversations sometimes with people that are not completely aware of the situation, or that only hear tidbits of information that they want to hear, and then that supports their viewpoint. And I almost feel like it's almost pointless to try and have those conversations with some, because they don't listen to what it is that you're trying to say. If they ask you a question, it's almost like watching the Kamala Harris interview with Brett Baer on Fox News. That when they ask you a question, they're almost immediately ready to ask the next question, or to try and beat down whatever answer you're going to say. And it makes it really difficult to have any sort of conversation about any of it. So, I don't know how to help and communicate with those types of people that are so entrenched. I'm perfectly willing to hear whatever argument that they have about whether or not, Donald Trump should be president, or whether, Kamala Harris should be president. But if you're just going to yell and talk over, and not have a constructive conversation about it, then if you're in one of those conversations, my suggestion is just bail. There's really no point in having an argument over something that may cause a rift later. It just doesn't doesn't make any sense. If you're concerned about their candidate winning, then just consider the fact that if you go vote against their vote, then you've canceled their vote out. That's essentially all you've done. Um, I don't really have a whole lot more that I want to discuss. Let me check the voter registration for South Carolina again, just to see if maybe it's updated. I'm guessing it's not. It's not. Um, excuse me. The I will just say this. I am not shocked, but shocked at the same time about the Donald Trump McDonald's stunt. um, Apparently, Donald Trump on Sunday went to a McDonald's. Excuse me, and weird stunt again. We kept coming back to it. These things are weird. But Donald Trump went to a McDonald's. I believe it was in Pennsylvania, where he took off his jacket, put on an apron, um, and uh, I guess talked to the workers there. So the thing is that the McDonald's restaurant that he went to was closed specifically for this. The people that drove up were staged. These were actors that they had, or staff members that they had drive up and purchase from the McDonald's. There were no actual transactions. It was a bizarre kind of stunt, and it was in reaction to the fact that Kamala Harris, when she was younger, worked at a McDonald's, and Donald Trump loves McDonald's. If some of the reporting is to be believed, Donald Trump eats McDonald's frequently enough that he he probably was at some point keeping at least some South Florida McDonald's in business. Um, but it was a weird stunt. Now, if it had been like, it's like the Chick-fil-A stunt that they pulled. It wasn't an open Chick-fil-A. They had been closed specifically for Donald Trump to come in there. So he wasn't buying food for a whole bunch of people. In fact, he stiffed them on the bill. He left, they, according to reports, allegedly left without paying the bill. So it just strikes me as a weird sort of stunt. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. Um, I have continued to watch his speeches for any hint of a glimmer of policy or plans for healthcare or the economy. The only thing he talks about on the economy is the fact that he wants to tariff countries into the ground, which, if you have any sense at all, you know that um, tariffs are paid by the companies here in the United States for imports. And let's say they're importing $10 t-shirts, and $10 is the cost for the t-shirt for the company. The company can't sell that t-shirt for $10. They have to sell it for $11 or $12 so that they make a profit on that t-shirt. Well, if you put a 20% tariff on there, you're adding $2 to what that company has to pay in order to import those shirts. So now they're paying $12 a shirt to import. Well, you can't then just sell the t-shirt for $12. The company's not making any money. So they have to sell it for a profit. And that means that the profit has to come out of the people buying the shirts. So now you have to raise the shirt to $13 or $14 a t-shirt. It's just how it works. Tariffs don't impact the country. There are places and times where tariffs are good. Let's say the United States isn't producing any cell phones. So or that cell phone production in the United States has become unpopular, or in order to try and drive up an industry in the United States, yes, you could impose tariffs on something like phones coming out of China. And then, yes, those phones, the phones here could then be sold less expensive than the phones that are being produced and shipped and imported in the United States from China. So, you you're giving the United States government then is giving a local manufacturer the ability to maybe increase sales because their product is less expensive. That's where a tariff is beneficial. But it's not beneficial as an economic plan. You're not going to cancel out trillions of dollars in debt with a continued deficit. It's, I mean, I'm not an economist, but these are things that when you look at them and you understand, cause and effect, it's just none of what Donald Trump says are his policies or plans make any sense. So that is going to do it. Hey, do me a favor if you can, please subscribe and share this with anybody you can. We appreciate it. It drives us higher up in the numbers. It gets us new listeners. Also, if you could, please consider supporting the show monthly by visiting our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com, where you can find links to our support or maybe our t-shirt merch, that sort of stuff. Also, check out zjzdesigns.com. They've got a line of Halloween shirts as well as Thanksgiving Day shirts that are epic. Check them out. Tommy the Turkey is a great looking shirt, and I will have one that I'll wear during one of these morning updates. Also, we have a couple episodes coming out starting Monday, next Monday, 28th. Yeah, the 28th, with Carl Smith, who is the organizer of the voter education project. You can get an early glimpse at what we're going to be talking about. Go visit the votereducationproject.com. But had a great conversation with Carl, and we turned it into 2 episodes. So we'll release that on Monday, and then the following Monday, the second part will be coming out. As well, if you can, and you're in the Columbia area, go check out the Hall of Horrors on 1153 Walter Price Road in Casey at the Casey West Columbia JC's location there. It was phenomenal. We had a great time last Thursday, and would really like to see them do very well on this season. I'm already seeing, several reviews of what people experienced when they went through, and hoping that the Hall of Horrors there, the Casey West Columbia JCs, have a very successful season this year. So say hello to my friends O'Shawn and Shelby and Zach and Alex and everybody. So go do that. Tell them that we said that we sent you. So that's going to do it. This is the All About Nothing podcast kind of daily show. Thank you very much for sticking with me. It's been a little bit longer than most of them this time, but maybe tomorrow we'll get an idea on some of the numbers on the South Carolina early voting that we can report. So you all stay safe, be kind, and definitely keep your hands to yourself.